good to be with you today during this time during worship, and it was good to be with you in front of the Family Life Center for Sidewalk Talk before. And for all the rest of you, if you want to go over there and see the children's interpretation of the baptism of Jesus, I commend that to you. Well, this morning we're going to read a passage from the Bible in a little bit about Elijah and Elisha. They were two men in the Old Testament who were known as prophets. Any idea what a prophet is? Yes. They are people who speak to the other people on behalf of God. If the people aren't doing something that God would want them to do, the prophets would warn them. You're not doing what God wants you, and this is what might possibly happen. Elisha is the younger prophet, and Elijah is the older one. And Elijah is old and getting on up in years, and he's getting ready to pass off his work to Elisha. And Elisha said, when you go, will I have the kind of power that you did? Because Elijah was able to do miraculous things. He was able to outrun men on horseback. He was able to revive someone who had died. He was able to create food when there was very little food. So he had these abilities to do amazing things. And Elisha said, I don't know, but if when I go in a moment, you see me taken up into heaven, that means that God has heard your request, and you will have the abilities that I have. So they had to cross a river, like the river that we drew this morning. And Elisha took his mantle off, which was kind of a scarf thing like this. This is what I wear that says I'm a pastor. And he took it off, and he folded it up, and he hit the river with it. And the river parted, and they were able to walk through on the dry riverbed. And after he came to the other side, the river had gone back again. And whenever they were almost there, Elisha looked up and he saw a chariot. Do you know what a chariot is? It's like a wagon, but it only has two wheels. And it's pulled by one or two horses. But in this case, this chariot was made of fire. And this chariot came down from heaven. And it swept up the prophet Elisha. And it took him back up into heaven, completely unharmed. And Elisha was amazed at this miraculous thing because he had never seen anything like this before. And when he looked down, he saw Elisha's mantle was there on the ground. And when he went back to the river again, he took the same mantle and he struck the water, and the waters parted from him. And that's when he knew that God had answered his prayer, and that he would not only be a prophet, God's spokesperson, but he would have miraculous abilities too. Will you pray with me? Dear God, we thank you for these children, for the families that have brought them to church, and for the church that surrounds them with love and prayer. Amen.